Well, thank you guys. I don't know that words could ever. I have been around these shootings way too much in this country, and I'm sure waking up the day after, it's got to be. You got to wonder what it hits you, and I'm wondering how that's going this morning for you.
It's I mean, it's just not a nightmare. It's real, But she woke up. I think she's bouncing better than we do. I think right now, you know.
Yeah, I still kind of think it's a dream because it never felt real.
Yeah. What this morning you felt you saw different.
Yeah. So yesterday we have a great community and we gather with all the family. And so last night we went back to sleep. We all sleep together. And I was wondering what kind of night she would get, and she basically slept super well until this morning. And this morning she come up and she's just she felt like yesterday you talked to the counselor. That was very helpful, was it?
Yeah, but I'm trying to stay really happy to get my mind off stuff because it was really hard yesterday. So when I feel happy, it makes me get my mind off a lot of stuff.
That's why kids are better than us. They're really able to be, she's already planning the day. She did the sign, so.
What do you think about?
So my mind, for some reason, keeps on replaying that exact scenario when the teacher the teacher was in the middle of saying our prayers, and then we heard just one shot. I smelt smoke before everything, but I heard one shot. I thought it was a firework like everybody else. The second shot was just everybody just covering their ears. The third shot was when everybody started ducking low, and all these shots were like slow until the fourth shot. It started getting faster and faster, and then that's when everybody took into action.
What was that action?
When some kids, they hid under the pews the whole time, and some ran off to the pre-K room. That's what I did. And in the pre-K room, everybody started to help, especially the kids and all the older buddies. We all started to help, like putting tables on the doors, locking the doors, putting all this stuff on the doors as much as we could. For some reason, nobody could stay quiet. We had to talk about it. So it was kind of struggling. We heard one more gunshot, and then we heard some footsteps. We thought it was the man, but it was the police. We smelt smoke after they kicked open the door, and they led us outside where we saw everybody hurt.
I mean, when you hear this from your daughter, it's just like. So every day we kind of put the pieces right now, and she's a strong little girl, and all your friends are very strong.
Yeah, all of my friends are very strong. Only 2 people in our grade got hurt. One friend, he got a piece of wood stuck in his left arm, so they had to patch it all up because and then the second girl, she's still in the hospital, but she's doing better, I think. I don't really know what happened to her, but I really hope she gets better after this day.
I mean, they say way too much. They say way too much, So, I just don't know.
How did the kids know to move tables and the stuff that you were describing? How did you guys know to do that?
So we've never actually took a drill in mass because we shouldn't. In the church. We never actually taken a drill. People were screaming, put the tables on, they're gonna get in. And so everybody's instinct was just to put stuff, like crayon boxes, literally on the tables. As little it helps a lot. Like,
You did the drill at school?
we only do the drill at school, and we've never done it at church. So it was kind of like, what do we do? What do we do? Some people like ran, but they got hurt. Most people got hurt by glass. Like, one of our teachers, she teaches 3rd grade. Her daughter was really scared. My friend, she's in my grade. She was really scared because her mom, her wrist was all swollen up because her Apple Watch basically kind of like, she was so lucky because a half a bullet went onto her Apple Watch and it swelled up her wrist like a lot. But the teacher's all right, and she's all good, which I'm really happy about.
So where were the gun? Did you know where the gunshots were coming from?
Yeah, they were coming from. So nobody sits in the back of the church except for like the people who don't go from our school. It was, when you walk into the church, it was on the left side, and it was more in the front of the church, because he probably hit about like 6 stained windows, more than 1 bullet on each of them. But the lower ones was kind of when most people got hurt. But it was honestly really scary because it was mostly in the front, which every grade usually sits. Especially the little kids sit in the front because they can't really see, which was really scary. And all the kids are fine except for 2 who sadly passed from, like, the doctors couldn't do it, but everybody's seemed to get better slowly in the hospital, which I'm really happy about. Like, my friend in 7th grade, she got, like, hit, like, kind of on her, she got hit, like, on the slim on of her neck. She didn't get, like, hit in it, like, it kind of just passed her neck, but a little deeper. And she's still in the hospital, but she was in surgery for 6 hours, which was really scary.
You guys talk to each other?
We talk to each other.
Yeah, they have a little group talk.
Like a text chain.
Yeah, text chain that we kind of monitor, so, you know, we don't know.
When you hear her describe some of this, it must be so hard for you.
Yeah, it's dreadful, like,
Yeah.
just, I mean, what she went through when she told the counselor that she thought she was going to die. It's just way too much for me. And so, as I mentioned, she seems to be rebounding much more than we do. So you gotta give me the secret for it. And you hear this, and it's unreal. It's just, you see it on TV, you see stuff on movie, and you know, I told my wife a year ago, I say, you know, so I'm from France, and sometimes we think we like to move back and all that, but they said, you know, you drop your kids at school and you don't know if you're gonna get them back. And a country like the USA, when we're supposed to pat ourselves how great we are, can even provide the minimum required with, you know, the shooting is not gang shooting, it's not drug related, it's just this weird culture mixture of sick people getting on gun, and so I don't even have a anger to the shooter. I think I'm just very sad for everyone, and you know, and so when you hear this, and when Brenda, my wife, hear this, It's like this, you know,
One,
this big thing you get and you can breathe.
one thing to add on that, I really hate to say this, and like all of my other friends hate to say this, but we are so grateful that this guy had mental help, or else he would actually come for us. And we are so grateful for like the teachers and like the parents who are stepping up, and for our older buddies, and we're really grateful for all the kids who actually helped everybody. It was really scary, but as a community, we're kind of a small community, so everybody knows each other. It was really heartbroken when we heard about our two friends, and what we did, we all like came together and had to we all came together just to like support each other because of what just happened yesterday.
I mean, she's 11 years old, you know, it's not like, she's not even like, you know, high schooler, you know, and the stuff that they come up, they're just amazing. And yesterday we spent all day with family. You know, we walked while I was waiting for you. A neighbor walked, just hugged me. It's just like a village in a small city, and it's like me in my hometown in France, where you know everybody know each other, and the kids know each other, and the parents know each other, and so one thing that we really have right now is we're not alone.
What do you want your father to know?
He can talk, and that everybody is safe now, and that, yeah, this is not fun, but we have a nice small community that can support all of us.
And do you feel safe now here?
Not as much. I don't feel that safe in the church anymore, but you're supposed to the church is you're supposed to go to the church to feel safe. I don't feel safe anymore in that church. I feel like the school is kind of the same thing. I felt safe, but I mostly don't feel safe in the church. I know that it's not going to happen again, and I know that nobody's going to do it again. But when I step a foot in that church, it's going to give me flashbacks, which I try to get my mind off. But when I do, my mind just keeps on replaying it till just like, this happened. This is going to happen again. There won't be a community. Less people are going to be there. And it's not making me feel better. So the church is not making me feel safe anymore.
How would you describe the things that you're feeling right now? I guess the level of trauma, I guess, or how would you, as an 11-year-old girl having experienced this?
I feel scared, 100%. I felt scared and I still feel scared. And it's just like, I feel kind of like paranoid now, since now I really like, every time I see like a window open, I want to close it, because just I don't want it happening again. And what's scary to think about is that, what if another person comes? And I know it's not going to happen, but just
There's a fear.
there's a fear.
When you were in the room, I think you were talking about people covering their ears?
Yeah.
I've covered sadly, I've covered many of these shootings, and I interviewed kids who experienced the same thing, and they would cover their ears. It's an important thing to talk about, I think. Just can you talk about that?
Yeah. So the thing is, I feel like when we heard the second shot, everybody was like in shock for like 2 seconds. literally. Like, nobody was moving. Everybody was just staring at the church. And then after those 2 seconds, the third shot came in, and everybody was covering their ears because some people are really sensitive to their ears, really sensitive. Like, this friend, he's super sensitive. So the first thing he did, he covered his ears, but everybody was in shock. But when it hit again, everybody was like scared now. Like, everybody knew what was happening after the third shot. And then when everybody went to action, it was scary, but we knew what to do for some reason. It was like, it was crazy. Like, it was so loud.
Were you scared?
Yeah, I was really scared. I thought it was a firework, like everybody else said. Everybody thinks it's a firework for the first one, because it sounded like one, but I looked to the window and I saw a spark, and then I saw a hole in the window, and I'm like, I know exactly what's happening, but I said that in my head for 2 seconds because I was in shock. The third shot, I like covered my ears and ducked down like everybody else. Some people were smart enough to actually like go on the bottom of the piers.
The pier, yeah.
Pier, yeah. I did a kind of a dumb decision because I like stood up and started like crouching / running, and I had to stand up because my friend, he wouldn't move. Like, he didn't get hurt, he just wouldn't move. He was getting into position to go under the pews, and it was like I had to step over him and his little buddy. What I feel so sorry about is that I left my little buddy and my friend, which I feel so guilty about. They're all like good. I just never told them anything. I never like looked at them and said, get down. Like, they had to go on their own, which I feel so guilty about, because most people like would think first about their buddy. I, in that moment, kind of think first about myself, because I'm like, I'm gonna die right now. But after that, after we all went to the gym, I was still really paranoid because there was windows like on the top, and I was thinking this guy would, because I didn't know he actually like took his life before. I thought he was still like wandering the roads, and then our teacher said, it's okay, everybody, our parents are outside. And I'm like, that does not make me feel better because there's a killer outside. And then after I heard the news, I'm like, that is, oh.
But to be fair, you did what they teach you, which was a run, hide, or fight, and you did the run, which is okay, everybody is okay, The guilt that she has.
Yeah, I'm interested in that. Why?
Well, I feel really guilty because my little buddy was in 2nd grade, and I said nothing to her. Like, nothing. I just looked at the window, and then I just ducked. I never said anything like, get down. All I did was just look at the ground and duck. And then my friend, she's the same age as me. Well, not anymore, she's older than me, but she was like actually like helping her buddy. I feel guilty because I was the only one who was like actually like thinking about myself.
You're not the only one, okay. You gotta stop telling us this. You did what you have to do, okay.
They're okay, right? Your friends. Have you been able to talk to them?
No, not yet, but they're okay, which I'm really glad about. But I had this feeling in my head where I'm like, when I was in the pre-K room, putting all the tables up and all the chairs up and all like the boxes up, I had this little glimpse of just like, oh shoot, my buddy, I forgot about her. What if I locked her out? What if this happened? What if this happened? And I got so worried, but then this really nice lady, she had this pre-K kid, she comforted me and all the other kids. She didn't know what was happening either. She was dropping off her kid. And she was just like, it's okay. It's okay. We're gonna be all right. After this, we'll see our family and hug them as tight as they can. And then her pre-K kid, it was so brave. Her pre-K was like braver than me. She was so sweet, which I'm really glad that there's a lot of nice people here. But I don't know where everybody went. When Mr. DeBoer said,
It's the principal.
yeah, when Mr. DeBoer said that there's other people not just in the gym, we're just trying to get everybody in the gym, I was so relieved because I thought I actually lost my friend and my buddy. But because I was really worried. It was a short scenario, but it felt like ages to me.
Do you, listening to her speak, it sounds like you wish you could have done more. But what else could you have possibly done?
I wish that I could actually like talk to my buddy and like try to like, cause I was saying like the friend, I'm like, friend, move, and I said like, move, like I was panicking, so I wish I could like actually like help more people because I thought I wish I could just like make other people like better because the guy who was shooting, he had mental health, and I'm so glad about that because if he didn't, he would just keep on like shooting and shooting. And this guy had 3 guns. He was really like actually prepared for this. I think he actually knew because didn't he go to school in 8th grade?
Yeah, he did.
I think he
His mother
actually
worked there too, so I think he knew.
he knew. So he was all planning this. So
Yeah.
What would you tell? Sadly, other kids are gonna go through this in this country. That's just the way it is.
Yeah.
What would you tell other kids who one day could potentially go through what you went through?
I would say run, hide, or fight because I don't want them to be like, I don't want them to be in shock like everybody else. If they were closest to the window, I would say duck. Like, don't look at it, duck. Like, don't be in shock for 2 seconds, go in action right away. Because what we did wrong, we actually were curious and we looked at the window like for a while, and then we saw another shock, and then we just all ducked. We were late. We were really late, but what I would say, run, hide, or fight. And also to just be grateful why that you are alive, and that you got, if you got hurt, like one friend in 8th grade, she got glass on her head. If you got hurt and you're alive, she's okay. But if you got hurt and you're alive, be so grateful, because just be grateful of everybody. Be grateful that you get to see your parents again. Be grateful of all the teachers, of all the kids, of all the big buddies, of everybody. But yeah.
How grateful are you for the police and the school and the way?
So grateful. I'm also grateful for the parents who stepped up before, because they saw something sketchy. Like, probably Starbucks people, they probably saw that this guy was in a black ski mask with a black cloak and black pants. Because they came while the shooting was going on. Nobody called the police while the shooting was going on. They called it after. And I feel like I'm so grateful for like everybody who like knew that this was really sketchy and that they like called the police before everything, because if they haven't called the police, like the police wouldn't really know. Like, they would be late and it would already had ended, and everybody who was hurt would still be hurt.
I mean, to be fair, the response, whether from the school, whether from the police, ambulance, and all that, has been tremendous. The parents, I mean, it seems some people who do not have kids to school went up to see what was going on. So we're very grateful for that, because, you know, and barricading the church, I mean, it could have been a carnage, you know, and so we just, you know, now we gotta, you know, recuperate the pieces and figure out what we do with Annunciation and try to build up again.
The morning, like, can we just go? This was third day of school this week. What were you were probably very excited to be back at school. Your dad told me you love school.
Yeah, I love school. Especially yesterday was supposed to be a really good day of school, because the first 2 days we were kind of stuck in our home bases because like they taught us how to do stuff. So we were just in our home base the whole day. The day that the shooting went on, it was supposed to be a really good day. Like, we were actually supposed to like transition. We had all our stuff ready. We were so excited. Like, even people who didn't like school were really excited. Yeah, like I originally was so excited for school to start. And what I'm not happy about is that I'm mad because now I'm not gonna be really excited to go back to school.
So the morning, the school started at what time?
School starts at 7:30.
No, 8 o'clock.
8 o'clock?
Yeah, you remember?
Oh yeah.
Yeah, so take me through that morning. You get up, you go to school, class, and then you guys walk to, do you first go to the church or do you go to school first and then?
What we do, so I got up, I walked to school. I walked to school with my dad and
Brenda, Mama, follow this time. Good.
and Mama. And I kind of like, I ran to school because I thought I was gonna have a tardy slip. So I ran to school, and I thought I was gonna be late, so I just ran. And then when I got to school, we just like, we grabbed our stuff from our lockers to like actually like do classes. We grabbed our stuff. We're like, what do we do? What do we do? Like, wait, what section are you in? What section are you in? Oh my gosh, you're in the same section as me. Oh, I'm so happy that we're gonna be in a class together. And then we walked to church. So we take the way that we go out. We go out from the front door, and after we go out from the front door, we walk to church, and we walk on the sidewalk of the driveway, so it's kind of going curvy. And what we did, we kind of, after we walked to church, we sat in our places, we genuflected, we sat with our buddies, because yeah, we picked up our buddies as well. What we did, we genuflected, we sat down, and then first thing we did was that we our new father, he's new. Like, this was his first day of Mass. This was our first day of Mass. And this was his first day of Mass at this school. So then he's like, I'm so excited that we get to do Mass together. This is my first time teaching like a full-on school. He used to teach like high school, I think, as a father, and he looked really excited. And everybody was honestly, to be honest, everybody's kind of excited the first day of Mass because like we get to do some fun stuff there. And then first, after he did a little speech, we sang a song. After we sat down, our teacher, our ELA teacher, kind of did a prayer for us, and then our Spanish teacher did a prayer for us. And in the middle of that Spanish teacher's prayer, we heard a gunshot. And well, in the start to the middle, we smelt smoke. And because I think that guy went off a smoke bomb, because we smelled smoke before like everything. And everybody's like, huh, what? I smell smoke, I smell smoke, I smell smoke. And it kind of like had a big like whisper around the whole thing, like, I smell smoke, is there a fire? And then we heard one bang. We didn't know it was a gunshot. It sounded like a firework. And so Miss Noel was still talking. We heard a bang, and then it was just like, everybody's like, huh? And then everybody like looked at the window, huh? And then we heard another bang, and then everybody started covering their ears. And then if we heard a bang, bang, the third one, everybody started ducking. And then the fourth one, everybody started going into action. And then Miss Noel was like, she was like, what's gonna happen? Like, she's like open eyes, like, oh my gosh, what is happening? She ran in where the altar servers come out of. So she ran into the altar servers place. And then we heard the fourth bang. Everybody started like screaming, and everybody started screaming and like getting hurt. This was when like it actually happened, and it started going really fast after that. It was like bang, 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 bang. And then everybody like was like running, ducking, hiding. Some people actually like got hurt. Like this friend, she was sitting on the end, like where the window was. She's so lucky because first it like went on her neck. It didn't go in her neck. It like slid on her neck, and then the second thing, it went on her forehead, and then a half a bullet right here, and then a half a bullet right here. She's supposed to have the bullet right here in her head forever, because if they take it out, it's gonna cause brain damage. So they have to keep it in forever. And her friend, she was sitting by her friend that passed, and she was really sad. Like, she was not moving. She was like the first one to get hit.
Can you see the bullets? Or
No, we didn't see
you
the
were gone
bullets.
by then, right?
Yeah, I was gone by then. But my friend, she went to the gathering as well. Because she was hiding under the benches, so she was hiding under. So then she saw one that just dropped to the floor because it was on a seat injured, so then rolled on the floor, dropped on the floor. We're lucky that he didn't actually go in, because there were not full bullets. They split in half after they got in the window. So they were about this big, but the shell, so they were about this big, but the shell was like this big. But it's really like lucky that he didn't come in because of.
You keep saying that, and I think if there was a lot of fear that he wanted to get inside.
And then these parents like actually like say like, hey, you can't come in here. I think so.
How does it feel? I mean, you've been talking so much about it. How do you How does that make you feel talking about it?
So at this moment, I'm trying to like remember everything so I can like give the information to you. But right now, I'm just honestly like, it doesn't feel like a dream anymore. Like, it actually happened. People are hurt in the hospital right now. People passed, and the doctors couldn't do anything about it. And, like, yeah, so it's real.
What do you want people to know about your friends and the friends that passed? And
I want them to know that, like, these people who passed, like, everybody knew their name. Like, there was an 8-year-old, there was an 8-year-old who passed. He went to the Dominican Republic with all of us. And he also was like really sporty, I think. And he was really sweet, actually. The girl, she was 10 years old. She was in 5th grade. She was kind of everybody's friend. She was like everybody's friend. She was nice. Everybody knew her name. She wasn't like popular. It's just everybody knew her name, and she was really kind to everybody. And it was really like heartbreaking when we found out that both of them passed, because everybody like knew them. Everybody was like friends with them. And yeah. I feel like I really hope they don't do Mass at the church anymore, or I really hope they don't do Mass in general, because I think they know that people will have like really bad flashbacks of it, and they're like scared to like walk in, and they're like looking around, like shivering, like shaking, and then I think that the school knows that. So I really hope they don't do Mass, because some people are very sensitive about it. School, it's gonna be hard for school. I feel like one thing I think that we're all gonna do is that we're not gonna talk about it. We're not gonna talk about it. We're just gonna talk about like something else. We're not really gonna talk about the shooting, because it just scares everybody, and to think about it, and it's not gonna be like fun, because if people talk about it, it's gonna make people like scared now. Like, what if this happens again? What if we actually do Mass again? Oh my gosh, is it gonna happen again? Like, this is gonna be scary. Nobody's gonna talk about it, I think.
Do you still want to move back to France?
I actually kind of like my school.
Okay.
I'll move back to France if we go to Mass.
Okay.
How proud of you?
It's just, this is therapeutic. This is it's
Just remarkable.
she's it's just therapy, and I'm proud of, like, beaming of proud. It's these little kids. As a parent, we try what we can. And they say you try what you can, and on Sunday you go to church that it works. Pray if it works. But we're very lucky. And all the kids. I think it's just not only her. Like, all the kids yesterday, we were with all the kids together. And there is a little friend of one who passed away. The first thing he said to us, that was my best friend. And it's just like amazing. He could say this without over emotion, just being like, I just lost my best friend. And so it's such a learning experience right now. We're going through so many new territory, and so we're proud of her. We're proud of the whole school. I'm proud of the city of Minneapolis. Whatever people want to say, it's a great city to be in. Ironically, is people bring the family here because it's good for school. It's good for raising kids. So it's a whole thing. It's not only about us. It's about the community. And so at the end, you're gonna come out stronger. Yeah.
Yeah.
What's the hardest for you?
Oh, it's just I think for both of the parents is knowing what they went through, knowing that all those kids from, I was 3 years old till, they're some are going to be 16. They should not be going through something in a country who pride themselves about freedom and all the thing and how good we are. And so the idea that she went through all that is wrenching. The idea when the daughter said, I thought I'm going to die today, it's heart-wrenching, and so, and the story, but that's what is the hardest part. And then, let's not forget, there's 2 families who are mourning right now.
You know them, yeah.
Yeah, one, yeah. Yeah, one was on vacation with us. I went for a couple of runs with the dad. And so, it's all this, so we gotta, I say we gotta stay positive and try to think of what we have and be grateful and see if we can help, especially those couple, the family, see if we can see what we can do, and because we all in it together. Our kids, we're lucky that our kids make it back, but the scare will be there for a while.
No doubt that, again, the same question I gave to her, I want to give to you, because parents are going to go through this. Again, this is going to happen again.
Yeah.
This is the fact of this country, and this is the fact of the world that we live in. What would you say to those parents that, and this is all new for you, I understand, but the first 24 hours are definitely the hardest.
I don't know if I mentioned this already, but 1 year ago I told my wife that unfortunately in America, and I'm going to say in USA, you have a large chance to don't see your kids once you drop it for school. A chance might happen. I won't say large, might be a bit, However, it's just, I don't know how you can deal with that. And unfortunately it happened to us. And just, I think, I really don't know. I feel like I have no way to tell people it's going to be okay, because it's not okay. I'm from Europe. We have sick people in Europe too. We have, but they just don't have the access to the, major gun. And so, I think I'm gonna, my thing is, this little drop and hopefully ripple a bit. And, already contact our senator, and I'm gonna, I think, I don't know much to say to the parents. Hug your kids every day and take life as it is, because you just never know.
It's going to be hard to let her out of your sight again.
Yeah, I think it's going to be, we all going to go through something, I don't want to, like I say, we think every day, day to day, hour to hour, the day, the school got to reopen. It's got to happen, okay, and it's going to be tough. And we'll see, and we will react as the situation goes. It's just one of the things that now, if you were already scared, you're even going to get more scared, so we'll see. Like, I have no answer right now. I'm just living, today is what?
Lucky in some ways.
Yeah. Today.
It's really sad that you guys have to go through this.
It shouldn't happen. We are a country, we're like one of the wealthiest countries. It should not happen. Something is wrong, and it's deeper than it is in the culture. It should just not happen. And the rest of the world, and every time you go to Europe, we go to Europe once a year, the rest of the world is basically scratching their head, say, what the hell, what's going on with America? Let's face it, whether it's the Asian, the South American, the European, they all look at us like, what's going wrong with you guys?
I'm sure you probably have been hearing from friends who are like,
Yeah.
Like, are you like from France or from Europe that are like, oh my God, like, what the hell,
Yeah, it just doesn't make sense. They really can't understand it, and we can't, and we, even to the point which is we're becoming fatalistic about it, which is the wrong way to go at it. So we need to, I don't know, I hear all the same thought and prayer, and we need more than that.
What would you tell the adults, not the adults necessarily, but the people in this country who make laws and who are in a position to help people, like kids, like you, like what would you say to those people?
I would say to ban guns, but the problem about banning guns is that it's a problem because it'll make people mad. Because guns are for like hunting, not for like hurting. It's for hunting animals, for like getting food, but so it will create a lot of hate if I say to ban guns. But I would say to like, probably to like restrict everything that just happened. Like, to like not get guns that easily, because you can buy like guns at Shields and they won't even worry. Like, I feel like they should actually like you should have a, like, people should actually worry, because if one person buys a rifle, a shotgun, and another gun, and nobody worries, it's just wrong, because you shouldn't get guns that easily. You need an explanation. You need supervision. You can't just do it, because it's not fair for the people who are actually getting hurt from it.